So Hasbro put out a schematic of a teaser for what's going on with the female Combiner team. Now, not too long ago, we talked about the exclusive release of a character called Greenlight, which was another female Autobot to be added to Elita-1's Combiner team. But now, on the Transformers Siege website, you were able to unlock some schematics with the codes and stuff, something similar to what was going on back in the day with the Cybertron toy line, where you got codes with the cyber keys and would unlock material. So we got a schematic here. And so originally, Elita-1, when her toy came out, the explanation was that her combine mode was called Elita Infinity, when it kind of and it had like a weird spelling to it too. This time around, it seems that they're calling this combiner Orthia, and according to what I was reading here, Orthia comes from like it's related to Greek goddess mythology from Artemis Orthia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, but what's interesting about this is not only do we get a name for this all-female combiner team, but now we have kind of a teaser of what's to come, because Elita's the centerpiece. It shows that Novastar, a.k.a. Firestar, is the left arm. Moonracer is the right arm. We have a left leg that is Greenlight and a classified right leg. Now, this could be one of a few things. I mean, there's one of a few different directions they could go with this. We have Chromia. You know, we have the character of Chromia, and it's a possibility if they want to revisit that character again and turn it into a combiner limb for this character, it's possible. But do they want to make a brand new mold to do this? Do they want to just use a pre-existing mold, maybe take Novastar or something, or Moonracer, and just retool it like crazy and do that? We don't know right now, but that's one possibility.
Right.
Another possibility is some other pre-existing female characters within Transformers mythos. Now, all of these listed here are Autobot females. It wouldn't be out of the question to use some Decepticon females, maybe like, what do you call it, Nightbird, if they want to do a Nightbird repaint or something.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. That'd be pretty cool.
Even though from a fictional standpoint, to have a pre-Cybertronian Nightbird repaint doesn't make sense, because Nightbird was a human creation.
Right.
But it's just something that you kind of, like I always say, you kind of have to look at the trademarks and see where they want to go with that. So I don't know. Like Greenlight was a new trademark that was made, but it's been kicking around for a while because of the G.I. Joe license. So that's kind of, you know, when you look at trademarks, you have to look not just at Transformers, but at all the Hasbro brands. And then it kind of gives you an idea of what could come. Not 100%, but it gives you if you're a betting man, it puts the odds more in your favor with that kind of stuff. So Chromia is trademarked and licensed. More of a possibility, if anything, than say a Nightbird, which isn't trademarked and licensed currently. So I'm really curious what they would want to do here. If I was a betting man, probably more chance of it being Chromia than anything else. Mm-hmm. If they want to maybe go with, a new character, it's a possibility too. Maybe take someone from the IDW universe that hasn't gotten a toy yet, and they want to tie up that name for the future. Or alternatively, maybe, just maybe, and again, it's a shot in the dark here, maybe a Windblade limb. Maybe. But usually... I
think that makes her a little bit too, like...
saturated?
Too much?
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the sense it's like, she's a city speaker, and she comes from this clan, and now she's a combiner piece. Like, I think that's a bit
And she's
much.
a predominant part of the Bumblebee toy line, not the Bumblebee toy line, the Cyberverse toy line. Yeah, no, I understand that. That's why I said it's a big maybe. That's why. So, like I said, out of all the choices here, I think that Chromia is the more surefire bet. But at the same time, I would be curious to see if they would either create a new character, bring in a character from IDW that hasn't had a toy or a trademark yet, or look at the back lineage of Transformer lore and pick out some of the females that came from that. There was a character called Chromia, also known as Thunderblast in Cybertron, which turned into a boat. Mind you, she was a Decepticon, but, you know, it's something you could pull from there.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're trying to save the name, you could just put it on either side of the war.
Or
thing,
or
you're saving the name.
Or alternatively, and I mean it's a possibility too. We haven't had a retail Arcee toy in a while, so it's a possibility it could be an Arcee limb too. The last one we had was the HasCon exclusive. So that character really hasn't been pretty in pink in a while. So is
there any other characters from Search for Alpha Trion that they any other female character because that's what it seems like they're pulling all these female Transformers from, trying to go back into the past kind of thing, and we have Victorion, and those are just brand new characters that they made. Right? If I remember right.
All that was all fan voted stuff.
Oh, okay. And then I think the other group of females they had, I think, was the Decepticon ones, or at least like they reused the Megatron mold. Remember the one you were like really like, oh man, that was a really cool thing that they did.
What you're referring to is what they did was they took Victorion and they made it like just like how Victorion was all Autobot females. These were all Decepticon females,
right? Like a counter to it.
Megatronia, and known as Mega Empress and stuff. But what you mean in the case of Search for Alpha Trion is that there was a huge team of female Autobots, but of those characters that appeared, the background characters that did get named. Ultimately, in the end, the only one that really hasn't gotten a toy yet is Lancer. Because you had the female Autobots that did appear in that episode that were named, which were Elita-1, Chromia, Moonracer, and Firestar, which later on we trademarked today as Novastar because of Marvel. Right. The only two that weren't named were what later on we would know today as Greenlight, and a character that appeared in the background called Lancer. So
and that'll be a little bit difficult. What are they called? Does Mitsubishi still make the Lancer Evolution? I think they still make Lancers, but they don't make Lancer Evolutions anymore. I think that would be the trickier part.
I think the name the name Lancer might not be used because it's too generic to begin with. They could potentially call it Autobot Lancer. Or they could give it, kind of like
another name.
Well, what they did with Jazz, the very first time they started using Jazz again, they called him Special Ops Jazz or something. So, and the same thing, I think they did that with Scarlet too for G.I. Joe. They called her Special Ops Scarlet at one point.
Okay.
So it's possible they could call it like Autobot Lancer or Secret Agent Lancer or Spy Lancer. But she was like a very purple and orange kind of nondescript vehicle. But here's the thing. She was also a character that appeared in the IDW continuity, where she actually got fleshed out a little more than her brief appearance in the 85 episode of G1. So it's something that I could see them going in that direction, but then they have to trademark a name and really build from the ground up in this case. But that being said,
I wouldn't mind seeing them do that because the fact that all these characters kind of come from that one episode.
Yep.
The fact that we've had female Transformers, but we just didn't really go back there and just say like, hey, why don't we try these like old school characters that we can kind of do something with because we haven't done anything with them really before, and everyone's kind of like, hey, why don't we have more characters like that? Like
I would prefer that.
The fact that you can go back into your history and like they're digging back these characters, I think that's actually really good.
I like when they go back and make figures of characters from Generation 1 that never had toys. Because that list is shrinking and shrinking rapidly now. We still haven't gotten a decent DevCon figure yet, but he's coming. I think one day we'll get him. But it's just that list is shrinking, so like you said before, it makes sense with this Combiner team because it's all the characters. Hell, there's one there's one scene, I think it's the beginning of the episode of Search of Alpha Trion, where they're practically all together in one like frame. So you can, so if anything, it works. It works perfectly. So that's something definitely. The logical answer will be Chromia. The fan answer that I would like to happen would be Lancer, but we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully, by the time you're listening to this, we have a better idea of what's going to be happening, and then we'll have a conclusion for you guys.